Let's now go to the Canterbury-Bankstown district of Western Sydney. I'm joined by the Mayor Khal Asfour. Thanks for joining us, Khal. Tell us first up, how is your community bearing up with this lockdown within a lockdown city?
Well, they're struggling, Chris, to be frank. They're really doing it tough. We've had construction and retail pretty much shut down. People can't go to work, and it's really putting a mental strain on everybody in our city. It's really tough at the moment.
Yeah, it's incredibly tough because the whole of the metropolitan area, the whole of Sydney is doing a pretty tough lockdown, but you've got these extra conditions. Now, some of your workers are allowed to go out of the area to work. They have to get tested every 3 days if they do. Have you got any sense of what sort of percentage of the population are still being able to go to work and how many are being kept away?
Well, I can tell you that, retail, healthcare and construction is about 30% of our workforce. So it's nearly a third of our workforce, and that's a lot of people. So there's a lot of confusion, as I think everyone knows now, from Saturday morning's announcement till today, people unsure whether they can or can't go to work. Unfortunately, a lot of them can't go to work and they're struggling with knowing how to pay their bills. I'm hearing, people are ringing Service New South Wales and on hold for hours at a time. We've got lines of people getting checked, people waiting for hours to get their COVID check as well. So it just tells you that the government wasn't ready for this announcement. Well, they weren't ready. They didn't manage it properly. And there's no real resources. I mean, I think they're stretched and it's really hurting our community.
Is it the wrong call? There are 3 council districts involved here. Most of the cases are in Fairfield, yet your whole council area is locked down too.
We are the largest council in New South Wales. We've got 370,000 residents. We run from Earlwood to Riverwood. I mean, it's a massive area. And people are quite rightly asking, why should we be locked down if 75% of the cases are in Fairfield? I can only say to them, we need to follow the advice of the government. We don't want to be breaching any rules. We're a very compliant community and we're doing our best to do what we can to get through this. Unfortunately, it seems that the virus is spreading and the government's trying to play catch up.
Now, there was mention yesterday in the press conference by the Chief Health Officer of the Eid Festival, very important week this week for members of the Muslim faith. Lots of religious and community gatherings, family gatherings usually. Do you think that's played a role in the decision-making here?
No, I don't. I mean, I hope not. Eid is celebrated tomorrow. It's the most holy day in the Islamic calendar. Our Islamic families are really doing it tough at the moment, not being able to celebrate. But the celebrations usually start from tomorrow onwards, not beforehand. So the message is out there. I've just got off a call with sheikhs and MPs and councillors, putting the message out there that you can still celebrate. You just got to celebrate it in a different way and stay at home tomorrow and celebrate with your family. And you can still pray and do what you need to do. But you got to do it at home, and you can't be going to the mosque, obviously, and to the local parks, as what would usually happen, followed by 3 days of celebration of visiting homes and visiting families. That won't be happening this weekend. But our Islamic community got through this last year, and they're very resilient, and they'll get through it again.
Yeah, it's very, very tough timing for the Muslim communities in New South Wales. Just further, Khal, you mentioned people trying to get onto the websites and the like. I've heard reports from Victoria too, where the announcements have been made about people able to get income supplements, etc., during the lockdown. But once you get online and try and do it, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, look, Services Australia are responding. As far as I'm hearing reports of people getting their $600 pretty quickly. But it's the businesses that are hurting, Chris. It's the businesses that now aren't sure whether they need to lay off their staff, stand them down, how they can afford to pay annual leave. I really think the government needs to do something about this and not forcing workers to take their annual leave, because it's really hurting. And you've got some small businesses that can't afford to pay it. I mean, there really is more detail that needs to be worked out, more support that needs to be given. And it can't just be an announcement first and the detail after. The detail needs to come first, and they need to do the consultation beforehand. Otherwise, we're going to continue in this cycle, and this cycle's a mess.
Khal, thanks so much for joining us this year in the middle of a tough fortnight. We'll check back with you later in the week, perhaps.
Thanks, Chris.